On Friday, the Biden administration announced a new step to tackle the ongoing gun violence crisis in America.
I'm proud to announce the creation of the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, the first office in our history.
Like the president says, the office is the first of its kind. The goal here is to ensure that the bipartisan gun safety law passed last year is fully implemented nationwide. The office will be managed by Vice President Kamala Harris, who pursued gun safety measures during her time as California's Attorney General. And it's clear that a solution to this problem can't wait. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have been more than 31,000 gun violence deaths so far in 2023. Joining me now, Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, who introduced the legislation necessary to establish this office, along... No, we don't. We don't have Alejandro Maxwell Frost here. Senator Murphy, thank you very much for coming back.
I love Maxwell Frost.
Well, everyone who knows you knows that gun safety is a paramount issue for you, particularly because of what happened at Sandy Hook, the massacre there in your home state in 2012. What will this office do? And how will it help further the cause of gun safety?
So, I think it's important to understand that Joe Biden cares about this issue in his bones. He has been a leader from day one on this issue because he knows how devastating it is to the families who have experienced gun violence, but he knows what families like mine are going through. My kids are going through their active shooter drills right now, and that is a unique kind of trauma that every family and every child is going through. The good news is we passed the first serious anti-violence bill in 30 years last year. It is actually having an impact. Violence rates are coming down in 2023, in some cities by over 10%. And so we need to keep the foot on the accelerator. We need to keep implementing the provisions of last year's law. But there's a lot of provisions in that bill. There are 5 changes in gun laws. All of those have to be implemented. There's $15 billion in spending on mental health, school safety, community safety. We want to make sure that every community gets access to that money. And now that we have an office in the White House that is dedicated only to implementing the 2022 bill, but also, exploring what are the next options available to try to keep this progress going, I think that it's a new era and a new tool for the White House to make sure that we keep this momentum heading in the right direction.
Right. Well, one of the things in terms of the more things that can be done, the president has called multiple times for an assault weapons ban, or the re-implementation of an assault weapons ban, because we had one, but it wasn't reauthorized. What do you say to people who want to see more done?
Well, ultimately, we need to change the people in Congress in order to get more done. Right now, the House of Representatives not interested in moving forward on gun safety legislation. In the Senate, we need a handful more Democratic senators who support a ban on assault weapons. So there's some of this that's just going to be taken to the electorate. And the fact is that now that Democrats understand that you can win by running on gun safety, that you can win by running for an assault weapons ban, we're winning more seats. But I also don't want to underhype the impact that the 2022 law is having. Yes, we didn't ban assault weapons, but one of the things we did is to say that anybody under 21 who wants to buy an assault weapon now has to go through an enhanced background check. There's a 10-day waiting period right now for young buyers of assault weapons, and we've seen already that we have stopped multiple potentially very violent young people in the middle of a crisis from buying a weapon, and we've probably saved dozens, if not hundreds, of lives just by that one narrow provision.
Let's talk about your partner in this effort, and that's probably one of the reasons why I said his name. But it's Congressman Maxwell Alejandro Frost from Florida, youth organizer with the March for Our Lives movement, became the first Gen Zer elected to Congress. And in Gen Z fashion, he posted this TikTok a few days ago. Watch this. That's the ultimate flex humble brag, from the House steps at the Capitol to inside the Oval Office. What's it like to collaborate on this issue with someone who's not only a Gen Zer, but someone who is from this generation that has had to live under threat of gun violence, as he has.
So Maxwell is a transformational leader. He and I introduced the legislation to establish this office, and we're glad that the administration went forward with it. We still want to pass our bill because we want to make sure that this office is codified in law so that every president has to have this capacity. But, you talked in your previous segment about the fact that young voters are starting to turn out in higher numbers. And if that trend continues, there's no question that Joe Biden and other leaders on the issue of gun violence are going to be elected to office. And what young voters want to see is that when they turn out, things happen, right? Sometimes we tell you that your vote is going to make a difference, but then you don't see it. Well, we can show that elevated young voter turnout, Gen Z turnout, in 2018 and 2020, elected majorities in the House and the Senate that passed a gun violence bill that broke the back of the NRA, and that has resulted in violence rates going down. And so that proof of concept is really important. But frankly, young people aren't going to believe me when I tell that story. They're going to believe Maxwell when he tells that story. And so that's why it's so important for him to be at the center of all this.
Senator, I can't have you here and not ask you something, especially since you are a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Some of your colleagues are coming out and saying that the Senate Foreign Relations Committee chair, former chair now, Bob Menendez, should resign. Where are you on that? Do you believe the senator should resign?
So I want to get back to the Senate and huddle with my colleagues before I make a recommendation. But let's be clear. These are devastating allegations. No senator should be trading on their position in order to enrich themselves. It is hard for me to believe that Senator Menendez can be effective in his job given these allegations. But I think I want to get back and talk to my colleagues on the Foreign Relations Committee before I recommend a path forward for Senator Menendez.
Have you talked to Senator Menendez?
I have not.
Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, thank you very much, as always, for coming to the Sunday Show.
Thanks, Jonathan.